Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Learn and Heal. Today we are going to discuss about the principles of assessment practices. This is the lecture number 6 of the chapter Basics of Assessment. There are 10 principles of assessment practices, so we'll be discussing all these 10 practices one by one. The first one, the primary purpose of assessment is to improve student performance. Good assessment practice gives more importance for how things are learned rather than what are learned. How is more important than what? How they have learned this much, how they approached this learning program, and what they learned is important, but more importance is given to how they are learning this all things. Assessment is not an end in itself, but a vehicle for educational improvement. Education is actually a journey. There is no end to that. You can consider educational improvement as a journey. So, this assessment is a vehicle for that particular journey. Then, the second principle is assessment should be based on understanding of how students learn. Learning is a complex process. It includes what students know, but also what they can do with what they know. What they can do with what they know is very, very important, because you should know how to apply what are the things you have studied. The application of the learning process is very important. Besides knowledge and abilities, it involves values, attitudes, and habits of mind that affect both the academic success and performance beyond classroom. To analyze all these characteristics, like the values, the attitude, the habit, the knowledge, the ability, so you have to use different methods. Assessment should reflect this understanding by employing diverse methods. Then, the third point is assessment should be an integral component of course design and not something to add afterwards. When a course or program is designed, apart from the teaching and learning elements, assessment of learning, the third important element, should be stated clearly and explicitly. Assessment is a part of the course, not something to be done after the course. When is the assessment happening should be included while you design the course. It should be clearly stated that what are the methods of assessment that are using to assess the students and how these assessments are carrying out in the curriculum. All these things should be previously known. Then only students can demonstrate what they have learned and see the result of their learning. The fourth point is good assessment provide useful information to report credibly to parents on students' learning achievement. So a good assessment only will have the credibility so that the teachers can report that it to the parents. A variety of assessment methods provide teachers with the evidence of what students know and can do and their particular strength and weakness. From this good assessment, you will be getting clear idea about what is the strength of the student and what is the weakness of the student. Teacher can then report that to the parents on how far their child has progressed during this particular year. Only this good assessment can give a credible report to the parents. So variety of assessment is necessary to understand the potential of each student. You cannot measure all students by the same parameter. Then good assessment requires clarity of purpose, goals and standard and criteria. Assessment work the best when it is based on clearly stated purpose and goals of the course. It should have a standard which students are expected to achieve and the criteria against which success is measured. Achievable standards should be there in assessment, and also the criteria to measure the success of the student is also important. Assessment criteria need to be understandable and explicitly so that the students know what is expected of them from each assessment they do. If the students are not having any idea about what is this assessment criteria, then the value of this assessment is gonna be lost. So the assessment criteria should be very simple and understandable, and it should be clear to the student what is the outcome the assessment team is expecting from the student. So each assessment the student can do in a better way. Students, parents and community should be able to know the need of assessment and the reason for selecting each individual form of assessment in its particular context. So why we have chosen that particular assessment for this course? So this should be explained to the parents and the students, so they will be having a clarity, okay, this assessment is very much relevant for this particular course. Then the sixth one, a good assessment requires a variety of measures. A single instrument will not tell us all we need to know about students' achievement and how it can be improved. So a different methods or the variety of assessment tools should be needed for that purpose. The teacher need to be familiar with a variety of assessment tools and their uses so that he or she can make use of the most appropriate tools for the kids. The method of assessment should be according to the kind of information sought. For example, what they are trying to explain here is maybe some student will be good in maths, some will be good in science, some will be good in sports, and some in arts. So teachers should conduct the assessment by using appropriate tools. Suppose a student is very good in sports. So teacher is now assessing him about his ability to go with the language. But listen, this kid is not that much good with the language, but he is excellent in sports. So teacher should assess his ability to do the sports as well. But the teacher is assessing his only through his educational part, this theoretical part. So then the student's achievement will not be that good. So teachers should conduct the assessment by using appropriate tool. Again, if you teach the subject information technology the student, to assess whether the student understand it or not, you have to provide the computer to the student and check whether he is able to do what we taught. Seventh point, assessment methods usage should be valid, reliable and objective. Assessment instruments and processes which directly measure what we intended to measure should be chosen. So what we are intended to measure and the measuring tool should be matching. Otherwise, it will affect the achievement of the student. A good assessment system is one which provides for moderation between the assessment measures of different teachers as well as objectivity in measurement. You have to check the assessment measures of different teachers and objectivity in that measurements and make a good assessment system. Assessment system always should be of moderate level so that students can achieve the expectation. Eighth point is assessment requires attention to outcomes and processes. Information about the learning achievement of the students, though very important, the same importance to be given to know the level of proficiency attained by each student in the class. Not only the learning achievements but also the level of proficiency attained by the student is also very important. It is equally important to know about their learning experiences along the way and the efforts taken to acquire them. The efforts the student have taken to acquire this achievement is also a subject for assessment. Ninth point, the assessment works the best when it is ongoing rather than episodic. If continuous assessment take place, the student learning achievement is also rise to the expected level. When learning assessment of a student is undertaken continuously, it proves to be most effective. If the various learning related activities of the students are monitored and assessed over a period of time, continuous learning improvements take place and the course goals are achieved. Students' learning achievement too rise to the expected level of standard. If the various learning related activities of the students are monitored and assessed over a period of time, continuous learning improvement will take place and the course goal are achieved. So all the time you have to use different methods of assessment over a period of time continuously. You have to monitor, you have to assess the students, so automatically the learning improvement will take place in students, so the course goal will be achieved. Students' learning achievement too rise to the expected level of standard because we are continuously analyzing them, continuously motivating them, continuously trying to improve him as well as our teaching. So the goal is achieved easily. Then the 10th principle of the assessment is assessment for improved performance involves feedback and reflection. This is very important part. A feedback is very important in the assessment pattern. All assessment method and process should provide for the students to receive feedback on their learning and performance. Once students are getting their feedback, then only they can improve. They will be knowing, okay, this is my limitation, this is my challenge, so I have to rise above this level, so I have to meet the expectation of the course. Assessment pattern should be in a way that it should allow the student to enjoy the process of learning. Assessment should serve as a developmental activity enhancing students' learning. So these are the 10 principles of assessment. So we'll be coming with next lecture. Till that, thank you very much. Thank you for listening.